So hi everyone, I'm Winfeng Shi, the class of 2010 of Zhongguancun #1 Primary School. And today I'm going to talk about my US journey, and this is a picture of my school, which is Pembroke School. So on the left side is the picture of my school, and all of those people is basically most of my grade. It's basically like one of the class in Zhongguancun #1 Primary School. And this is the school picture of Zhongguancun #1 Primary School. You can basically see the difference between two of them. And today I'm gonna separate it into 4 sections. The first one is classes, the second one is outside of school, and the third one is adaptation, and the fourth one differences. And first class, I'm going to talk about the English, so the similarities. I say textbooks. I mean, they both have textbooks, but in US it's actually one of the book to read, like one of the reading books, not as serious as China. Like they have actually a textbook. And for the differences, there's vocabulary, and in China the vocabulary is basically going with the textbook. Whatever section that you read, there's vocabulary for it, but in US there's a certain website for it, and you basically, there's 15 units for each year and about 20 words in each unit, so you learn about 300 words each year. And there's like one unit, each unit have a test, and after 3 units there's a test, and after 15 units there's the last test for the whole year. And the difference is for the test. So in China, basically each unit you learn, and you basically have a test. For example, the format is the same. For example, the first section is vocabulary, the second section fill in the blank, and blah blah blah. But in the US, it's like every test, the format might be different, depends on whatever the section that is talking about. And the difference is for essay. In China, like whatever essay that you write, it's basically from the teacher decide whatever topic that you're reading. But in the US, it's more like the teacher decide about the book that we read like a few classes ago, or whatever article that we read. So that's basically the differences for English. For math, and this is the math, and that's the book that we learned this year. And for differences in math, for homework, both for math and English, well, not for English, but both for all the classes that we learn, basically, whenever we finish our homework, we basically give it to the teacher, and teacher actually like grade your homework. But in the US, we basically check it on our own, and basically the teacher will give you the time to ask questions about the homework. And also in classes, in the class of math, we basically, if we want to review anything, we basically just go to the board. And there's actually like 6 whiteboards in my classroom, and each board could be 2 to 3 people there, so it could fill the whole class there, and there's about 15 people in each class. And for math projects, so each year we were having a huge project for math. You probably wonder, how does that relate anything to math? Well, the paper that our teacher gave us before you do all of those things is basically in the ratio of like actually a real house. So we have to cut it in ratio, and we have to basically calculate in length. And also we did it in inches, which is another huge test for me, because I used centimeters for like my whole life and never used inches before. And for 7th grade, I also did a project. We did a candy box, and we basically have to design our own, but I didn't get a chance to take the picture of it. And this is for history. We learned about history since 6th grade, so we learn about world history, and the 3 main things that we learn about is ancient Egypt, ancient India, and medieval time. So for world history, we learn about ancient Egypt, we learn about ancient India and China. We learn about Muslim, we learn about Christianity, we learn about Judaism and medieval time. So the first main thing that we learn about is ancient Egypt. So the Nile River is basically the most important part of the ancient Egypt, because without Nile River, there's basically no life in ancient Egypt, because they drank there, they used the water to cook there, they used the water to wash there. So basically Nile River is the life source of it. And we had a drawing for Nile River, and it's actually pretty boring, but we also get to watch a few videos about the ancient Egypt too. And for ancient India, so in ancient India, it's basically the start of Buddhism there. And we had a packet about how the Buddhism start, and we basically just know that it's spread immediately to the east after it's founded. Why? Because they have Hinduism. Hinduism have a longer history than Buddhism, and Hinduism has always been in India like forever. And Hinduism is basically very religious. And basically, if you're born in one social class, then you can't move up a rank, or you cannot move down a rank, and you can't marry to someone higher or lower than your rank. You have to marry someone that in your social class. And Hinduism, and they're still having it right now. We watched a video about a few years ago in India. Still pretty religious. And for medieval time. So in medieval time, we just learned like a little bit for medieval time in classes. Then our teacher gave us time to do our own slideshow and own paper to teach our class about the medieval time. And the topic I picked is Black Death. So Black Death is basically killed about 60% of the people in Europe. And it affected most throughout the Europe. And also I learned about torture. So torture is basically how they get the truth out of the soldier and the captain in the medieval time. And it's actually pretty crucial. And for science, so for science we learn about the dog, we learn about the bird, and we also learn about human body. So for dogs, we had a few speakers come in to talk about their own dog, to talk about like how they train their dog, to talk about how their dog act when they just get the dog from the wild. And also, we had a speaker of Fidelco. So Fidelco is basically a company to raise those German Shepherds to train them into guide dogs to give away for the blind people. And it's actually a really nice place. And each dog trained about $45,000. And they have big sponsors, but they also have fundraisers like what we did at my school. So we basically do a fundraiser for Fidelco, and basically whichever amount of money that we raise, we basically give it to Fidelco, the company. And for birds, it's same as dog. We also had a few speakers come in, but this time it's different because the speakers are actually professional. Their job is to train the bird, and their job is to talk about their own bird. And we also learn about how did the birds cut their weight by the bones, and we also learn about the different type of birds. Does anyone know the three type of bird, what they call it? No? No, okay. This one's mourning dove, this one's red-tailed hawk, and this one's northern cardinal. And we also get a chance to dissect the chicken wing in our science class. And we can peel off the skin, we can see how the bicep and tricep muscle move when we move the upper and lower wing. And we also get a chance to see the tendon, to see the cartilage of the chicken wing. It's also basically the start of the human body too, because they're both bone. So in human body, we learn about the circulatory system, the digestive system, and also the skeletal system. So for a circulatory system, the three main parts of the circulatory system is heart, blood, and blood vessels. And for digestive system, we learn all those digestive organs and also digestive helpers. And we had a model of the belly's emptied and the organs emptied, and basically we just put whatever organ in the right place, and we learned that by knowing whichever organ's at. We also learned about skeletal system. So for skeletal system, we had a model called Skelly. So Skelly is basically a bone, like a bone structure, and we can basically see the bones, and we can basically see whatever each bone, and we can know where the bone is at, and we can also learn the names of the bones. And we have language class. So language class basically like English in China, but in my school they offer Spanish, they offer French, and they also offer Latin. And they say those classes are really easy though. And for sports, so for sports, basically like PE class in China, but a bit different. So from junior kindergarten to 5th grade, they basically have PE class just like in China, but from 6th to 9th grade, they basically get to choose a sport. And they offer a lot of sports for fall, for winter, and also for spring. And you basically just choose one of them, and some of the sports are competitive and some of them are not. So you basically just choose one of them and play. And this is a picture of me playing baseball. And they actually have games. And for STEAM, STEAM is I would say one of the most best class ever. Because in STEAM we get to build our own robot, we get to play with our robot, and we also get to do those free 3D printings. And for my visual aid for the history, for medieval times, 3D printed a play Doctor's Mask. So STEAM is one of the best class I would say. And for woodworking is basically like art. So in woodworking, we basically get to use the machines and and our teachers just give us a paper of steps, and we just use those machines and do whatever the project that we're doing. And those two are the projects that I made in woodworking. And for art is basically same in China. And for study skills it's actually a really important class. So it's talk about bibliography. Bibliography is like one of those websites to help us to cite the work. So in China, whichever paper that you wrote, whichever slideshow that you made, you have to give credits to the writer of the website, whichever website that you use. So it's actually very important. And this website just helps us to cite the work. And